Last time we discussed methods for scenes and shots. These are examples of world methods. Now we're going to look into methods that belong with objects, or object methods. What I mean by that is this. Here we have a world with a dragon in it, and you see the dragon has these many methods: move, turn, roll, and so forth. But really, these methods don't distinguish the dragon from other objects in the world. If you look at camera, it also has a move, turn, and roll, and say method as well, and so does the ground. So the dragon is an object that should have a different behavior from these other objects. For example, this dragon has wings. We ought to be able to make those wings flap. And in order to talk about that, so how would we make the wings flap? What we would want to do is rotate the wing. So this is the dragon's left wing. We want to rotate that left wing so it goes down this way, and the dragon's right wing so it goes down that way. In order to do that, I'd like to first discuss some terminology about the orientations of things. You see the dragon is facing off to the left and into the screen. So every object in the Alice world has these properties. Position determines where an object is. Orientation determines where it's facing. And the methods that are used to change these properties are move, that moves an object from one position to another, and turn and roll change the orientation of an object. It's a good idea to visualize this. So here we have these axes that show how we can change these things. Now, this is true for every object. There's a front and a back, a top and a bottom, and a left and a right. So we say this axis is the forward-backward axis, this thing that points out of the screen to the right and into the screen to the left. And then, of course, there's up and down and left and right. Now, when I say every object, I mean every object, including the whole world. The whole world has these three objects. And position in the Alice world is measured with respect to the origin where these three axes intersect. So let's see how this works in the case of the dragon world. Here we have the dragon, and he has his three axes that belong with him. There's the forward-backward axis that goes like this, or we call it the FB axis. The up-down axis that goes like that, that's the UD axis, and the left-right LR axis that goes this way. And every object has these three axes associated with them. It governs the object's orientation, and also we use it when we move the object. Now there's another set of three axes associated with the whole world, and when we move an object we change its position relative to the origin of the entire world. So for example, suppose I move the dragon. I can do it interactively like this. I will invoke the move method, and let's say I want to move the dragon a certain distance. Well, in what direction? When we say we move the dragon forward, we're moving him forward where the forward means himself. So he moved forward by that amount. So using move is pretty straightforward. It's you can move forward, backward, up, and down. And all of that refers to these three axes. So there I've just moved the dragon up. You can also change the orientation of an object, and this is done with the methods turn and roll. So for example, I can turn around that up-down axis. That's rotating sort of like this, and let's see how we would do that. Say dragon, turn, and if we turn, say, to the dragon's left, 1/4 of a revolution, he will rotate around that vertical axis, like that. We use a term from aviation to describe that aspect of orientation. That's called yaw. That's rotating around the up-down axis. If you rotate around the LR axis, that's this one, that is also affected by the turn method. So you would turn either forward or backward. So let's say we turn backward by 1/4 revolution. Again, in the terminology from aviation, we call that pitch. He was pitching backward, and we can also pitch him forward. There's one final orientation changing operation, and that's changed with a different method, and it's the one that rotates around the FB axis. So here's the FB axis, we rotate around that, and that's called roll. So to illustrate that, we can roll either left or right. Let's not do it so drastically as 1/4 of a revolution, but there we've rolled left to the dragon's left by that amount. So that's yaw, pitch, and roll, and how we change orientations.